Turkey's porous 820-kilometer border with Syria has been a lifeline for millions of people fleeing the violence and persecutions of war. According to the Turkish government, the country has been hosting some 3.6 million Syrian refugees at the cost of over $40 billion. Only a fraction of them live in government-run camps. The majority have chosen to carve out a life for themselves in the bigger cities where more economic opportunities can be found. Yehya Omar Shughour and his 2 kids arrived in Turkey in 2016 after fleeing bombardments in northwest Syria that killed members of his extended family.
مع عائلتي أكيد وفي معي مثلا هون مثلا بيت أختي وأخي كمان هون ساكنين 2 إجوا معي لأني أولادي ما شاء الله واحد عمره 7 سنوات هو محمد وال9 سنوات هو عمر.
The smuggler charged them $500 each to take them from Azaz, Syria, across the border where he left them. Yehya's wife joined them 2 months later. They made their way to Istanbul and moved into this rented apartment in the neighborhood of Esenyurt. Yehya works construction jobs while his kids attend a local school. They have all learnt the Turkish language, but after many years, Yehya says it's now time to go home.
شنطاي جبتها واحدة من سوريا وبدي أرجع على شنطاي واحدة نفس الشيء. ذكرياتي بسوريا يعني عندي بيت اللي يعني اتعبت فيه وظبطته على إيدي. بيتي 6 طابق. فلكن أنا مثلا ظبطته على إيدي دوكرته وهي وتعبت عليه وبعدين صارت الحرب هذا يعني ذكرياته كتير حلوة راحت معي هو الآن. فهذا الشيء اللي خلاني أحزن إنه راح بيتي طبعا هو انخرب. سعري بسعر هالعالم يعني ما لي أحسن منه.
However, now some Syrians are beginning to feel it's safe enough to return home following Turkey's military operations in the north of the country to rid the border region of what they consider terrorist elements. Turkey is now helping those Syrians, just like Yehya, return. After years here, many have built lives for themselves in Turkey, but it's not home.
نقطة الحزن إنه هون في تركيا راح أترك يعني بعض من أهلي هون أقربائي، أترك في بعض العالم يعني في تراك هون تركوا لي بصمة رائعة جدا، ما بنسى لهم إياها هون وبدعي لهم بالخير. وبالنسبة للحظة الفرح إنه هي لا تقدر بثمن أبدا، إنه أولا راح أروح عند أهلي، راح أروح على وطني وأشوف هنيك يعني أهلي بسوريا وواحد يرجع على ماله ويرجع على بيته، يعني هي فرحتي.
It'll be a long night of goodbyes. Tomorrow, Yehya and his family will start the 1,200-kilometer bus journey from Istanbul to the border for what they hope will be a reunion with their old lives. It's a morning full of mixed emotions. With bags packed, Yehya's family leave the house they've called home since 2016.
أكيد كان عنده رغبة كبيرة في الرجعة في الوطن يعني على سوريا. قالوا لي بابا هنيك وطننا. إيش قد ما كنا بسوريا هنيك وطننا، هنيك أرضنا، هنيك أهلنا. يعني إيش قد ما كان مثلا عندي هون عيلة عيلتين 3، هنيك في سوريا عندي شيء 15-20 عيلة.
The Istanbul municipality of Esenyurt has arranged to take Yehya's family and another family of 6 back to Syria.
6 sene önce terörden kaçarken bir çocuktu. Şimdi genç delikanlı olmuş. Biz de zaten hanım ve çocuk ağırlıklı bir nüfusa ev sahipliği yapıyoruz. Zaten beyleri, babaları bunların savaşta ya kaybetmiş orada ölmüşler ya da orada savaşıyorlar. Şu anda dönüyorlar çünkü huzur geldi. Yani siz bir kuşu kafeste tutsanız bile o özgür olmak istiyor. Şimdi biz burada çok iyi misafirperverlik ediyoruz. Bunları iyi burada karşılıyoruz ama bunların vatanı var.
There have been accusations that some refugees have been forced to return, so everyone is asked to sign papers of consent. Thousands of refugees from northern Syria have returned home since 2016. Many others have nothing to return to, so have chosen to stay in the lives they have built for themselves in Turkey. Saying goodbye is not easy for anyone.
هلا اللي بتذكر تركيا يعني خيراتها فيها خيرات تركيا. انت كيف في ناس والله يعني اذا قلت لك يعني بنحطوا على الراس يعني بنذكروا بالمنيح جدا. عندي رفاقي وقرايبيني يعني كل هدول الاشخاص اللي ما راح انساهم طول حياتي يعني. ولي ذكريات كثير حلوه هون.
Yehya's son was 8 when he arrived in Turkey and remembers his life back in Syria well.
أنا كنت بارك يعني كنت ألعب كثير مع بيت عمي، كان عندي كثير ذكريات ألعب معهم، كنت أروح ألعب معهم، أروح أشتري هيك يعني بدي أروح أسلم يعني على بيت عمي، أروح أبوس إيديهم وهيك يعني هيك. لا بدي أدرس.
أولاً أخي الكريم إن شاء الله تعالى بدي أروح مثلاً أشوف أهلي. فمثلا بدي انزل مثلا ابتداء مثلا من رمضان هنيك مثلا بدي اشتغل لوحدي ابلش من نقطه الصفر. هنيك بدي ابدا يعني بنقطه الصفر بدي مثلا استاجر بيت مثلا شوي يعني بدي افتح دكان بس هو مثلا مجال الديكورات الكهرباء وهالامور هي.
Another family, Mohammed, his wife and 5 children, have dreamed of returning to Syria ever since they fled to Turkey in 2015.
بدي اشتغل والله بمصلحتي يعني ارجع افتح مدد مي وارجع على محلي اشتغل محل تمديدات صحيه.
So we've been on the bus now for about 6 hours. We've just left the Turkish capital Ankara and we still have at least another 8 or 9 hours ahead of us. Yet despite that, spirits still seem to be high on the bus. These families, however, have not been back in Syria in over 3 years. They haven't seen their families, they haven't seen their homes. And of course, a lot has changed in the country during that time. So there is sort of mounting anxiety about what they're going to find when they do finally cross the border.
Yehya's house was completely destroyed by what he says was a rocket from the government side, while Mohammed doesn't know what's become of his house and family in Aleppo.
بدي ارجع على سوريا يعني اهلي هنيك ابوي موجود وامي موجوده وابوي مرضان يعني والله يعني كل مره تليفون انه ايمتى بدك تنزلوا انه ان شاء الله هالكم يوم هالكم شهر. ما عندك شو يعني انسان غايب عن بلده 3 سنوات يعني بشوف شيء جديد بشوف شيء متغير يعني.
Lots has changed in Syria. Homes have been destroyed, lives have been lost, and in pockets of the country, the war rages on. The sun has just risen over the Turkish border town of Kilis, the last stop in Turkey before entering Syria. This is as far as the Istanbul municipality officials can go. From here, Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management, or AFAD, will take everyone across the border. AFAD have been actively helping restore Syrian cities and communities in the area.
In Azaz, in Elbab, in Rai, in Jarablus, now the hospitals are serving for the people. The schools are repaired, the mosques are repaired.
Bags are transferred and papers rechecked. The kids get more toys and donations are offered to the families, unsure of what awaits them on the other side. Emotions are tempestuous, filled with excitement and anxiety as we approach the Onjupınar border crossing. The bus erupts into song as we finally enter Syria. This is the first time both families have been in the war-torn country in over 3 years. Yehya calls his family immediately to tell them he is home.
يلا دقيقتين بصل لك انا دقيقتين هلا جايين على الطريق. الله معك.
We drive through the run-down streets of Azaz in Syria's northwest, which has seen a good share of the war as the Syrian government and its allies fight U.S. and Turkish-backed rebels, while terrorist groups flourish within the power vacuum. While the entire cost of the devastation will take years still to calculate, The United Nations estimates rebuilding the country will run upwards of $250 billion, about 4 times Syria's pre-war GDP. We arrive at the main bus station in the town of Azaz. It is here that Yehya is finally reunited with waiting family members. However, it will take longer for Mohammed and his family to reach home.
بدي اروح على حلب مباشر.
حلب ما في لبكره، خليهم معك بكره الساعة 6 الصبح.
بكره الساعة 6 الصبح.
حلب لأني طريق 13 ساعة.
So we've come to the main bus station in the town of Azaz. All this milling around is trying to figure out if there's some sort of transportation that can take the 2 families to the town or to the city of Aleppo. There doesn't seem to be at this time. So what they're going to do is go to a relative of one of the families who lives nearby and spend the night there until tomorrow. They hope they can find some form of transportation to Aleppo.
Everyone clambers back onto the bus and heads to Yehya's brother's house, where all the extended family are waiting. A soldier with the Free Syrian Army stands guard while we are present, reminding everyone that the war in Syria is far from over. When Yehya and his family fled Syria in 2016, he didn't know when or if he'd ever see his brothers again.
3 سنين زيادة 3 سنين. شعوري فرحة لا توصف أبداً إنه جيت أول شيء على وطني، جيت عند أهلي، جيت عند مالي، عند خلاني.
Yehya proudly introduces his extended family. However, sadly, not everyone is here. He lost 2 of his cousins in the war.
ابن أختي مثلا أولاد أختي أرضاكي كيسي شهيد لا هدول الأولاد شهيد.
But there's also been happiness in the time he's been away. Yehya is introduced to his new niece, while the other children poke inside all the bags for any possible gifts. While more than 5.6 million Syrians have fled to neighboring countries, a further 6.5 million have moved around Syria itself to escape the violence. One of Yehya's brothers, Zachariah, and his 6 children have also recently returned to Azaz after many years away as part of Syria's internally displaced population.
يعني بسبب القصف والطيران براميل وكذا ويعني وصار عندنا اطفال وعندي اطفال كثير فلذلك حملت حالي وطلعت برات المنطقه نزحنا مثلا من مدينه لمدينه ومحافظه لمحافظه وعلى هالشكل هلا الشكل التالي ضربنا بالطائره وعندي اصابه يعني باجري عرفت شلون وكان في لي اصدقاء وتوفوا معي ورحت على المستشفى وتعالجت بتركيا الحمد لله.
Zachariah's son is 21 years old.
صار لي 4 سنين تمام. قبل الأساس كنا باركين بصوران مشان الطيران والضرب والقصف والنظام مستورة الحمد لله بس يعني أغلبيتها يعني كل شيء غالي يعني معيشتي يعني مستورة الحمد لله يعني عم ندفش ما اشتغلنا ما بناكل أي بالأخير يعني.
Mohammed and his family will make the 1-hour journey to their home in Aleppo in the morning, while Yehya will stay in his brother's home in Azaz while he can build or buy a new one for his own family. These 2 families know there are still difficult times ahead. They may be back in their own country, but with Syria's civil war still raging on, life as they once knew it here at home may never be the same again. Natalie Carney, CGTN, Azaz, Syria.